Welcome to the Let's Talk About It with Keola podcast. On this podcast, we have open minded, occasionally emotional, and thought provoking conversations about topics that hopefully will lead to some new perspectives. I'm your host, Keola, and to set the tone for my day, I normally like to start with an affirmation. And my affirmation for today is my intentions are positive, and then we're going to talk about generational behaviors. Now, let's talk about it. So, generational behaviors are something that actually I think is definitely something we need to address as a culture. We definitely should be getting more into why we should be making some changes in this environment, in our climate of what's happening in our society right now. We need to become more in tune to why we need to start making some changes and not just kind of letting things continue to slide by. And one of those things I'm going to talk about first that definitely is something, my perspective on it is poor money management. And that's been a generational thing that's been going on for, I would say, centuries. And it's very, concerning for me. We as a culture just, we have not been in tune with financial literacy, and it does something to me here, and it's primarily because we've always been in survival mode. We as a culture have not really had the resources to just take the time to learn about money management, and when we do have the opportunity to kind of have money, we have in a lot of cases squandered the money, because if you've gone a long time without money and you finally get money, you're so excited to have it, you blow it because you haven't had it in a long time, or you haven't had that amount at one time. So you don't really have the tools to learn how to manage it, how to invest it, what to do with it, what you should be doing to make it grow, how you should make $100 turn into 1,000, how to turn 1,000 into 10, and so on and so forth. And so we've not really taken the time to really learn. And so our parents didn't talk about it, and their parents didn't talk about it, and so on and so forth. And then doing the research and finding out, that a lot of our grandparents and great grandparents, which weren't that far removed from slavery, they weren't told about what to do with money and how to manage money, and how to make sure that their resources were going to continue, or how to leave a legacy for their children. Or, I've had some people tell me, well, I had to struggle to get mine, I'm not leaving anything for my children. Or things as simple as life insurance. Making sure that when their loved ones pass away, that they have the proper amount of insurance, so that the burden of burying their family member is not left on the people that are alive. And funerals are very expensive. Just a basic funeral is very expensive. And so we as a culture, we don't think about it. We're not planning for it. And if you pass away, you're not thinking, well, not only is your family member grieving, but now they have to determine how are they going to pay for the cost, to bury the family member, when that's something that should be something that's prepared for. That should be something that's taken. But again, we've kind of been in survival mode. You've just made enough money to make it from one week to the next week. Or maybe your parents didn't go to college, so they don't have a skill, so they're not able to get a high-paying job. Or maybe they weren't able to go to college. Maybe they weren't able to finish school, and because they didn't push you to go to school, fine, you didn't go to college. Everybody's not college material, and going to college does not guarantee you a high-paying job. So maybe they didn't push you to go and take a skill. Maybe they didn't tell you how to become an electrician or a plumber. Maybe they didn't teach you about going to become an entrepreneur. And so they didn't tell you when you got your money, how to manage your money, how to budget your money, how not to spend your money before you got your paycheck. If you know you're only making $600, to not spend all of your money. I have a relative that from the time that she started working, her parents taught her to only live on 80% of what she earned. My relative is now 90, she will be 90 years old this fall. So she started working in her 20s. So for 70 years, she's lived on 80% of her income. So can you imagine how much money she saved? Like, that's a lot of money. Okay, so she conditioned herself. So she was one of the few people that was taught, don't spend every dollar you make. Like, save some of your money, but that's an exception. You know, most people aren't taught that. Most people aren't taught that. So they were just, and so she managed to live on 80%. So mentally, she never thought about the other 20%. You know, she never thought about, well, I could have. So she adjusted her lifestyle to that amount of money, and she managed to live, you know, well off the other 80%. So those conversations need to be had. And the survival mode, it's so sad that we as a culture have done it. But guess what? We can't keep using that excuse. We live in the age of information. So now that we're in the age of information, there's always somebody got a seminar. There's always somebody selling a book. There's always someone teaching a class. When I was actively selling a lot of real estate, I would host seminars on a regular basis, weekly seminars, teaching you about home ownership. I would have classes, I would have workshops, and people would give me, I could give you excuses, all reasons why people, I don't want to own a home. Oh, it's too much responsibility. Guess what? I know people right now paying more to rent an apartment than they are to live in a home. Oh, I don't want the responsibility of living in a home. It's too much. What if something breaks? Okay, but guess what? You're still paying more money. It's not yours. You're not getting any benefit from it. You don't have. There's a whole lot of advantages to it. The real advantage is the ownership. The real money is in ownership. So whether it's yours and you rent it out and you make money off of it and you go live somewhere else, you can make more money. And that's a whole nother conversation, which we'll have on another podcast. But there are advantages to ownership. If it wasn't, the other people would not be so advanced. They would not be trying to buy them all out. Atlanta would not be in the condition that it's in with ownership if it wasn't a big deal. Trust me, I would be honest with you and tell you that. So we need to change our mindset about it. Investment. Real estate has more millionaires buying into real estate than any other. More millionaires have real estate than stock, than bonds. You can invest in stocks, bond, all of those things. There's a way to diversify your portfolio, but real estate is like one of the top things to do. But we don't want to do that. We want to make an excuse. We want to come up with reasons why we can't do it. That's what information is for. If you don't know, research it. If you don't want to take my word for it, go do the research. Find out for yourself. There are ways you can become an investor yourself and have a legacy so that when you are ready, you can create a legacy of wealth for yourself. Maybe you're not ready to buy a home right now. Maybe you don't want to do it for yourself, but start creating a stream. Break that curse. Break that trend. Break that bad behavior of poor money management. Start small. Start you a savings. Go get you a high yield savings. Don't know what a high yield savings is? Don't know the difference? Google it. Go find out what the difference is. Go find out the difference between a traditional savings and a high yield savings. That's a different conversation for a different class, but health issues. It's common for us to have health issues. You got generations of people having high blood pressure, diabetes, and there's exceptions to diabetes. I know some people have the form of diabetes that has nothing to do with eating, but you have people that have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart failure, some of the other health issues that are related to your eating habits, and your grandmother had it, your great grandmother had it, your grandfather had it. All the other things that are related to generations of that, because this is the same pattern of cooking and eating the same food that the other family members had. Change it, because generally what happens once your health starts failing, now you don't feel good about yourself, and because you don't feel good about yourself with all that's happening in society, now you feel bad about yourself. So now the weight of what's happening in society is taking a toll on you. Your health is taking a toll on you. So now you're depressed. So the fact that you're depressed is just all kind of creating another cycle. And if you have children or you have other family members around you, and so now you're just kind of perpetuating that, and there's a cycle of that going on. So now your children and the other people around you are just on this hamster wheel with you, and it's just going. Break that cycle. That's not something you have to continue to do. And then the single parent. I mean, single parent is not the worst thing. I think children are probably one of the most beautiful experiences that you can ever have, but having them too soon out of season that's one of the most selfish decisions I think that we can make as a human being. Having a child when you're not ready mentally, socially, financially, spiritually is selfish. It's a selfish decision to make, because children require all of you. It is the most selfless decision that you can make as a human being, because it becomes no longer about you. It's all about them until they are of age to care for themselves. And so there are families where the mother was a single parent, their mother was a single parent, their mother was a single parent, their mother was a single parent. And then when you go back and do the research, okay, well, obviously back from slavery, there was no father there because he was sold off to somebody else's plantation. So that curse started from the separation from the plantation. Okay, so now that seed has already been planted that, okay, well, the father doesn't have to be there. So it just continued. Okay, so now there's no value system in the home. So now that mother continues, and then that father leaves. And so it's just a continuation. And so now this mother is having a struggle. So now we're fast forwarding to this century when you have resources available to prevent pregnancy. There's not anything there's stuff I've never even heard of now. Stuff I didn't even know was available that you can have to prevent pregnancy. So wait until you're ready. Wait until you're in a financial position. Wait until you position yourself mentally. Wait until you position yourself financially so that you can create wealth for yourself. Wait until you're spiritually ready. Wait until you're socially ready. Wait until you've experienced life and you've been some places and you've done some things. And wait until your partner that you're having the baby with is ready and you both are on the same level, that you're ready to kind of experience life together so that the baby has a fair chance. Because I can tell you what, when your baby wants to play football, when your baby wants to be a cheerleader, when your baby wants to participate in those extracurricular activities, and they're $1,000, it's not fair to the child to say, well, you can't do it because I don't have the money. Or your child wants to go on a field trip and you don't have the money. And now the school system is like, well, you need to homeschool your child, and you can't homeschool because you got to go to work because you don't have a job that allows you to work from home. You got to go to a regular job that requires you to come to work. And so you don't have that type of flexibility because you didn't give yourself a chance to go and take a trade or prepare yourself educational career-wise. So now you got to go to the job. And so now your child is suffering the consequences for your decision. You could have really waited. And so you have generations of that. Break the cycle. You don't have to continue that. And so I decided to look to see how common is it for generations of us as a people to have generational wealth of Black families. You know how hard that was? Somebody Google that. Somebody look, and put it in the comments because I want to see what you can find. It's more common for other cultures to have generational wealth than us. Why is that? Because we're trying to survive. We got to break that. we have the opportunity, and I know in the past, we've had people to attack our efforts. Okay, that happened. I realized that. And so we're going to let that just cause us to never try it again. We need to go ahead, reload up, go ahead and, get our bootstraps on and get back in the game. We need to get back in the game and get back in the game. Okay? Because we can do it as a people. We're resilient. We are resilient. So we can make this happen. We got to break these curses. We got to stop making excuses. Is it easy? No. Do we have opposition? Yes. What does that mean? So we got opposition. We've always had opposition. We're going to always have opposition. But so what? We were built for this. This is what we do. So I need us to, as a people, go look it up. Look at the opportunity. Okay, we got new money coming on the scene. So we need some more of us to go ahead and create some opportunities for us to set up some things to leave behind. I think we can do it. I know we can do it as a people. And the millennials, y'all young people that's coming up now, that's, y'all getting money, y'all getting to the bag, y'all doing all the, we traveling, we going to all the places, we doing the high dog. Okay, I hope y'all not just spending money on material things. I hope y'all's creating some generational things, putting some things in place so that you can create some things to leave behind. So when you do start creating families, if that's what you're planning to do, and if you're not, you send some things up for your grandparents, your parents, your aunties, your uncles, or people in your family. Maybe your parents worked really hard to help you get to where you are. So you can create some things for them to leave behind, your nieces, your nephews, and people like that, so that you have something so you can say, I didn't just do it for me. Don't just be in a selfish mode. We got to stop being so selfish also. Yes, it is about you, but do something outside of yourself. It's more rewarding when it's outside of you. The rewarding feeling of knowing that you made a difference in somebody else's life will change your world. I promise you that it will. But I hope that what I shared with you today is something that you will research and realize that it definitely can make a difference. There you have it. I want to thank you for listening today. Make sure you guys are subscribing on Spotify and YouTube for full episodes and to stay connected. Make sure you're following me on TikTok and IG. Love you guys without judgment. Take care and see you next time.